Before we move further into the details of the OKR cycle elements and OKR variations, I want to point out one very important thing. OKRs don't exist in a vacuum. OKRs are closely connected to all the other organizational elements in your company. What does that mean? Well, we already talked about the close connection of OKRs to the long-term goals, meaning that the long-term goals serve as a foundation for the OKR definition and that the OKRs clearly contribute towards achieving the long-term goals. We also briefly mentioned the connection of OKRs to the execution level, meaning that OKRs kind of set the stage for the execution, so give clear priorities on what to do next. But OKRs are also connected to the other organizational elements. So for example, the way how leadership is treated in your company or how you take over responsibility. The values and norms that have an impact on your organization, or the structures and processes that are currently in place. Same is true for how you collaborate with each other or the tools that you use on a daily basis. And if we look at it from an HR point of view, how compensation and benefit works in your organization, whether or not goals are connected to compensation, and for example, how learning and development is working out in your teams. All these organizational elements are already in place in one form or the other, and they have a close connection to the way how you work with goals. Because goals live at the center of everything you do. They are an essential part of your organizational system. So when you now change the way that you work with goals, it will have a certain impact. And it will have a certain impact in two ways. First of all the organizational elements which are already in place will have an impact on the way that you can work with your goals. So the current structures, processes, and all the other things will have an impact on your OKR implementation. And the same is true in reverse, meaning that when you start to work with goals in a different fashion, that will also have an impact on the development of all the other organizational elements. And this is where some of the most fundamental challenges around OKRs come from, but where also one of its biggest potential lies. That once you start to change the way you work with goals, you can actually use that to build momentum to further develop all the organizational elements in your organization. We will look into what that actually means in practice and what you can do to get the most out of this potential benefit in the following chapters.